Oh, the weather outside is frightful.
But inside is so delightful.
It's Christmas in July.
Let's review.
Let's review.
Let's review.
Want more?
Look for
Season
4. Bum.
Bum.
Yes, that is right, folks. We are back with yet another Christmas in July. This time we are talking about The Flash, the man in the yellow suit. It is the first Flash Christmas special, the season 1, episode 9, I believe. Right, Dragon?
I believe so, yes. Yeah, 9.
Okay. Cool. So, Dragon, this definitely, like, watching this again, I gotta say, like, okay, like, it's time for me to watch season 2 now. Like, yeah, I remember why I love all these characters, especially Joe. Dragon, there's a moment with Joe at the end of this episode that's I just melt over it, man.
But there are so many good
moments. Oh, I melt over it.
You know there are so many good moments like that with Joe all throughout. There's always going to be always going to be good scenes like that with Joe in this series.
Oh, man.
Yeah, just Jesse Martin.
So yeah, Jesse L. Martin. Oh yeah, I know. I remember him from back in the Rent days, back when he was in musical theater. That's where he started out, if you can believe it.
Yep.
Anyways, so we are getting into it, Dragon. Like I said, I watched most of season 1 on the bus going to and from San Francisco. So yeah, that's where I got it. Then, you know, when I stopped going to San Francisco so much, I stopped taking the bus, and so I just need to get into the routine of actually watching the show at home, because I was kind of caught in that system, right? I was kind of caught in that system of like, okay, just The Flash is my bus show. So Dragon, let's get right onto it then.
Perhaps just because it's like in the middle of the season, we should provide a little bit of context for the story, just so the folks know, and so just a little refreshers briefly.
Can we make a Carlton Cuse cameo?
Fine.
Previously on The Flash.
Okay, so just a few things to go over here. Of course, this it's kind of a funny tradition in the CW. They call it the Arrowverse. I just call it the CW verse. Just kind of makes everything a little simpler. But basically, there's this tradition that every mid-season finale is a Christmas episode.
Mid-season, okay.
So this was the basically all the reveals and like saying, "Hey, stay tuned." And that's always the Christmas episode. So the gag.
Did that carry over to like Legends of Tomorrow and Supergirl as well?
To be fair, Legends of Tomorrow, I know they had a Christmas episode for season 2. I can't remember if that was the mid-season or not, but I'll say for like the main, for Flash and Arrow, they always do that. Flash and Arrow, it's always a mid-season. Supergirl had holidays, and I'm pretty sure their mid-season. Was it Christmas? It was a Christmas or a Thanksgiving. They always have like a holiday for the mid-season.
Okay.
So I'll admit, just mainly for Flash and Arrow, it's always the tradition with Arrow is that it's always a terrible Christmas for Green Arrow, because it's like all the bad stuff happens for Green Arrow on Christmas. It's always a terrible thing for Green Arrow. It's always a big thing for the Flash. It's kind of the juxtaposition. And interestingly, Flash was introduced in Arrow's season 2 Christmas episode.
Right.
So just in this in the course of the season, what kind of leads up to this, just we have pretty much the origin of the Flash. He's getting up and running. He meets Harrison Wells and the Star Labs crew. They're just very by the numbers, like they're metahumans ever since the event that gave Barry his powers, and we got to stop them so they don't cause damage. Justifying the purpose of the Flash and the mystery that's building to this episode, all the stuff that comes to a head in this episode. We, the audience, know Harrison Wells is a bad guy. We don't know all the ins and outs.
Exactly.
We don't know all the ins and outs. Like we know there's a theory is that, okay, he's the Reverse Flash, and this episode really kind of brings all that to a head, and it makes you question, is he the Reverse Flash? Is he not? We know Harrison Wells is evil. He's cooking something up on the side, but we love Harrison Wells even though we know he's doing stuff on the side. And essentially, I think that's the majority of the whole ball wax. Also, Barry likes Iris, but Iris is with Eddie Thawne, who,
Soap opera! Yay!
Yep. So, essentially that. Just the point is,
what I've heard, that's kind of like from what I've heard, the CW verse would be like perfect if it weren't for these like soap opera romance subplots.
At many a time, yes, many a time. Again, the Arrow season 1 probably would be perfect if you got rid of that. Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, look, like I appreciate the Iris stuff. Like it's, you know, I get it. I get where it's coming. It takes up too much screen time, man. That's the problem. That's the problem. Anyway, so let's.
Yeah. So let's.
I'm not saying in this episode in general. I'm just saying like kind of like in this episode, it's a big moment, so you know it deserves to get a good chunk of screen time for it. But
for my
I'm just
money,
saying in general.
For my money, I'd say Flash season 1 is still looking back on it. Just we've looked back on like kind of breaking down Flash episode twice. So unfortunately, let's just say the first time covering my favorite episode did not go so well. Tiki, is this your favorite episode, or was there another one? I thought you told me once this was your favorite episode. I could be misremembering that. But
I will say this: the Joe moment at the end is my favorite moment of season 1.
Okay.
That might be what I told you.
Hey, well,
I don't know what my favorite episode. No, I think my favorite episode is. We're kind of getting off track here, but I think my favorite episode is the one where the paradox happens and there's all that time stuff going on.
Right.
I think it's like episode 19 or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyways.
Well, my point is, you know, we've almost covered another Flash episode, and this one's another really, really great one. It features my favorite element of the CW verse, the Reverse Flash. So let's just dive right into it.
Oh yeah. You go gaga over the Reverse Flash.
I do. He gets better and better as he goes on. He just whenever we get now after this again my point of all this tangent is that season 1, looking back on it, every time I look back on, even like in like kind of a contextual kind of sense, like season 1 is still very strong to me. And again, it's a whole Reverse Flash season by that logic, but at the same time, it's a really strong first season.
It is. So, it is. It gets you started on the characters, and it has a good mystery built into it and everything. So, all right. So let's get into it.
Okay. So we start with "Let It Snow." Classic Christmas song is playing. It's Christmas time in Central City. We got a guy decorating, and then we're in the midst of the action. We're kind of in the middle of the episode with a little kind of cold open here, where the Flash is going by, blacking out the lights because he's running at full speed. We're in the middle of a very intense pursuit, and interestingly, Barry is in pursuit out of costume. So something really big must be happening. If he's just like kind of caught like Peter Parker and Harry Osborn in Spider-Man 3, I mean something big must be happening.
Yeah, the show uses this device quite frequently from what I remember. The whole like, okay, let's start in the middle of the action, and it's pretty effective.
And importantly, he's trying the big reveal here. So Barry's out of costume. Not only is he out of costume, he's keeping up with the man in the yellow suit, who again we the audience saw way back in the pilot. So, oh my God, that's the Reverse Flash who has not been named yet. Man in the yellow suit that Barry's been kind of looking for. It's kind of been his one-armed man. The man who killed his mother, he's finally in the show. He's kind of going head-to-head with him. Oh, my God, he's found them after all these years.
Right. Okay, so we flash back to one day earlier. We see Joe and Barry decorating the tree. God, I just love Joe and Barry in this episode, man. It's so good. It's so good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're decorating the tree at Joe's place, and Barry makes a joke. Oh, at this rate, we're going to be done by Easter, and then we have just this beautiful chemistry between these two. And these two are really there's so many hearts to this show, and they have like a saying on the CW, especially mainly with the Flash, is that there's like spectacle, there's heart, and there's spectacle, heart, and action. It's like action, spectacle, heart, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they want to make sure they kind of hit all the bases. Something that's like amazing and at the same time really heartfelt. At the same time, you kind of hit like all the right beats. And Jesse Martin gives Grant Gustin a look of like don't even, and then he just with super speed, he decorates the tree, and then Joe has the perfect line. You have it.
The only red suit dude I want in this house right now is Kris Kringle.
Got it. And we have just this fun bit where Barry rolls his eyes and he undecorates the tree, and then Iris enters saying, "Hey, why isn't the tree decorated?" But she comes bearing Nog.
Nog.
Not just any Nog, Tiki. She comes bearing the best.
Oh God! Product time!
So, folks,
Grandma Esther's famous eggnog.
folks, do you need a beverage around the holiday season that's going to keep you
man.
primed and ready and really just a hair tipsy, maybe more than a hair, but let's not drag the FDA into this. The FDA into this, it's just it's a little light on the bourbon, says Grandma Esther, and her definition of light science can make the whole family happy.
I can just imagine in the commercial, like Joe just like, I always loved your definition of light. Gives a little wink to the camera.
Yeah, kind of like the Chuck Berry, kind of like the juice with Chuck Berry.
Right.
All right.
Oh man, so many places we could go with the Grandma Esther's thing, but that's anyways. So yeah, and as I said, I just love the adorable like Joe, like I always loved your definition of the word light.
Right, so Joe then gets a call from the DA, which basically is kind of like in the context of the show. Hey Joe, we need you out of the scene. Okay.
Right.
It's like, I gotta admit, let me say this just about the Flash as a
there are definitely tropes that this show adheres to and cliches that this show adheres to.
I mean, let me get this out of the way, just to address the Flash as a whole, where it kind of stands nowadays and where it seems to be going sometimes. That there is not a very let's just say there's a very discernible decline with something like Arrow. A very discernible decline with Arrow ever since it's kind of gone past season 2. With the Flash, seasons 2 and 3, it's not a problem. But the thing is, I mean, it doesn't. The show is not hurt. It's not inferior. It's not inferior in quality. It's more noticeable. We see you see flaws in formula. That's the thing. You see a few flaws in the logic, and more so, you see the formulaic elements, which are not bad. They're just noticeable. That's the only kind of thing going forward in the Flash. I think people will notice that it's not as tightly knit as it is with the Reverse Flash plot of season 1 as it is going forward.
Sure.
So I just want to get that out of the way. So Joe's out of the room. Barry and Iris exchange gifts. What happens?
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So Iris gets a replica of her mother's wedding band that she lost on a school field trip, they say in Houston, to the zoo. Oh, they're so
zoo
cute.
In the 5th grade.
They're so cute, finishing each other.
Why can't these
and whatnot?
Why can't these two kids get together? That's my question.
I just don't know.
So let's see. So he puts it on her, hooks it on from the back with the necklace. They hug, and she fears that her gift sucks. As Barry opens it, it is a new microsleeve. And I like kind of this humble gift from Iris. You have kind of the classic trope of a Christmas gift exchange.
It's the best one on the market. She did her research.
Yeah. Again, Iris gave her the old couch tray. She got something he knew he would need.
Yeah.
So Barry loves it. Yeah, I believe he means that. Oh, this is cool. I can use that. Yeah, sure. And then Eddie's at the door. Eddie Thawne, Detective Eddie Thawne. Let's just say has a very important role in this series.
Oh yeah.
Well,
it's
I'm saying, he has a very
unassuming. He starts out within the context of everything. Like I remember Dragon. When I was in the middle of the season, I was like, I've got to say, I'm really liking Eddie Thawne. At first, I just thought he was going to be the jerky boyfriend.
As did I. And episode 1, that's what I thought he was.
Right. I don't know. I started liking him about halfway through season 1. But anyways.
Right, so Eddie's at the door, and of course, Eddie and Iris, they're really hitting it off. And again, to be fair, Barry, when he got his powers, he was knocked out for a couple months, and that's when Eddie and Iris, again, even in that first episode, again, Eddie was kind of a jerk that Iris had no interest in, but again, getting to know him while Barry was, indisposed, it's to his chagrin. Barry can't catch a break. He's kind of the Charlie Brown of this special in many respects.
Mm-hmm.
So poor Barry, he has to endure Eddie joining in on the tree trimming.
Oh boy.
And again, Eddie's not a bad guy. He's just like, oh, shucks.
No, but it's kind of like the moment's ruined. You know what I mean? Well, I guess I can't have this moment with Iris anymore. We have this guy in the picture now.
Meanwhile, it's Christmas at Star Labs. So,
yeah, I love how he brings the thermos of the egg dog.
And there was let me address the beauty of season 1 here for the moment here. It relates to this episode very, very much. Again, a lot of payoff is in this episode. We got to address this. And of course, we have the wonderful Tom Cavanaugh as Harrison Wells, and Tom Cavanaugh. Hopefully, we're going to discuss the cinematic opus that is Tom Cavanaugh and Patrick Fabian in a Christmas movie together at some point in the future. Hopefully. But in all seriousness,
the cinematic opus, yes.
Well, again, the small screen cinematic opus. I don't know if I want to split hairs, but the point is, maybe down the line. Who knows? Maybe down the line. But in all seriousness, Tom Cavanaugh, I've seen a bunch of things. He can be a character actor at times, but like I saw him in Blue Bloods once. But I've seen him again. The guy's a really good actor. He plays multiple layers very well. I mean, he plays just kind of like the lovable kind of mentor to Barry Allen, but at the same time, if you really in the brilliance here is that he's like the best rewatchable element of any episode or this season as a whole, because his lines, if you really pay attention to them, they indicate a sinister nature to him, as we the audience kind of pick up on.
Oh yeah.
Which is brilliant because Barry says, well, here's like a little gift for all you guys have done for me. And then of course Harrison Wells comes at him with, "You've been the gift for us, Barry." Of course, a gift for Wells because Wells needs him to get back to the future. Of course, a little minor spoilers for this because we know where we're going with this. Harrison Wells, of course, is definitely the Reverse Flash.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So yes, he gives him the thermos of the eggnog.
And I think it's safe to say that Wells is the Scrooge of the episode because Wells just kind of stolts off like, "Oh, I'm not going to drink and drive, maybe later." And Cisco kind of exposits like, this is, I don't know, Dragon, I find this kind of cute. Like this, I think the writers must be self-aware about this. This is such a trope. Like, oh, this used to be Wells's favorite time of year, but then the accident happened.
Well, you're right about that.
Think? It seems very self-aware of itself.
I think you're right to an extent, but you're absolutely right about the trope. This is the classic holiday trope of the tragic Christmas backstory that prevents our character from enjoying the holiday now. And the vague accident thing, of course, is let's see. I'm trying to think. At this point in the show, we don't know. Well, we don't know like the big switcheroo that happened. Like, why the heck does Reverse Flash look like Harrison Wells? We don't know that quite yet. That's later on in my favorite episode. But what we do know is that there was an accident that not the accident that the particle accelerator which made him quote unquote fake lose his legs. But the accident, he got into a car accident, which his wife was killed. Which again we see unfold in my favorite episode, episode 18 with Trickster, with the Mark Hamill Trickster episode. So. I mean, yes, it is just, we know he lost his wife, and that's the accident they're referring to. But yeah, you're right. I think there's kind of a self-aware thing of like, we're going somewhere with this, folks. So, take note.
And would you agree that he has the Scrooge arc in the episode?
That's the fascinating thing. We have so many potential Scrooges in this episode. Because Harrison Wells, who obviously, again, it's so funny how much they're playing with this. Harrison Wells is set up as the Scrooge. He is we are led to believe he is the Scrooge. And at the end, at the end, it's like Scrooge. He's possibly he's like in a funk around the holidays, and by the end, he gets exactly what he wants in the end, which he's so darn happy at the end.
And that's exactly what I'm saying for the Scrooge arc. Yeah, that's why I count it as a Scrooge.
At the same time, again, we have many arcs going on. Like Caitlin, for example. Again, Caitlin, she's missing Ronnie, and then of course, in many ways, she has like closure with Ronnie almost.
Mm-hmm. And then there's kind of Eddie as well, arguably.
Eddie gets. That's a fair point. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of difficult to tell. I mean, Eddie to an extent. Yeah, I think more Barry because Barry he's.
Yeah, Barry for sure.
That's what I'm saying. It's really big. Honestly, for me, it's between Barry and Wells because I think Wells is probably the fun reveal Scrooge.
Dragon, can we do it?
Yes, we can.
Fusion Scrooge! Oh, I didn't think that gag would come back. But yeah, I think I agree with you, Dragon. Like, it's funny how, the juxtaposition between Barry and Wells, like Wells ultimately being Barry's arch nemesis, these two do kind of share the Scrooge storyline. I think we've hit on that. Good stuff, good stuff.
And again, it's structurally, again, Wells is our Scrooge. The red herring is that Wells is the Scrooge, when of course Barry is, and they're both almost red herrings too in a way. It's like that Barry is he's the Scrooge, like he's your classic Scrooge in this episode. That guy not in the hospital, kind of bummed out because things aren't going his way. By the end, he has family. Harrison Wells was
sure.
Harrison Wells debatably is the Scrooge all along who got what he wanted in the end, but Caitlin as well with Ryan. Again, multiple Scrooge. Anyways, Fusion Scrooge.
I think Caitlin's a little bit of a stretch, but it's fine. I think the Fusion Scrooge just beat Wells and Barry just for the sake of the gimmick of oh, Barry and Wells, arch enemies, but they're both Scrooges. They're fused together in the epic Fusion Scrooge fighting game.
They are. Oh, there's a DC reference I'm waiting to use for Chris. They are Composite Scrooge.
Composite Scrooge. Oh god.
Basically, it's like there's something called Composite Superman, but literally the guy is half Superman, half Batman, split down the middle. Composite. That's Composite Superman, and then Robot Chicken did Composite Santa, which is half snowman, half Santa Claus.
Oh dear. Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right.
So Composite Scrooge. Oh, thank you.
Composite Scrooge. All right.
Okay, so let's getting back to the episode here. After all of that, yeah, Cisco's excited. Wells doesn't want to drink and drive. Then we get the whole Scrooge thing. It was kind of a funny little line. Well, I don't want to drink and drive. Wheelchair. It's just so funny because we know he's faking it. That's what's kind of funny.
Exactly right.
It's always like a fun
throughout pretty much the whole season, right?
Yeah, like we knew from episode 1 that he can get up out of that wheelchair.
Right.
So again, it's so I just love the thing. A lot of Flash episodes had the post credit scene almost like the ending coda of.
Mm-hmm.
We have sinister music playing as Harrison Wells stands up and he does something evil. We had so many episodes that ended that way. It was like he stabbed the guy. Like, oh god, it was awesome.
All right.
All right. So yes, mostly, we are the accident. Caitlin plans to get him a present. So that's the beginning of Caitlin's story. Let's get Harrison Wells a present and cheer him up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we're at Jitters.
Yeah. So let's see. Iris is kind of, indicating like, oh, just because I asked you about shirt sizes doesn't mean I'm buying you a shirt.
Darn that Iris. Listen, I've met this lady. I got to tell you, she seems.
Have you? Nice.
I have Candace Pat. She's really a nice lady in real life. Again, from what I can just meeting her like in a convention setting, like, hey, how's it going?
Mm-hmm.
I had this badge from there are a few I'm sorry. Arrow, Flash, and Gotham released these badges you can use, like police badges, like GCPD, CCPD, and the SCPD. And I kind of had that, and let's just say there's an episode in season 2 where we kind of let's just say Iris kind of switches jobs with Joe for a day. Without getting really into it, let's just say we kind of have something like that. I kind of brought that up to her, and basically she took a picture with me, and I had the badge and had her hold the badge. It was nice, really nice.
Nice.
So, yes, and also Jitters, we have a Santa Claus outside. We got Santa hats on. We got decorations, the whole nine yards. Yes, so Eddie is picking up on the fact that Barry might be like an Iris, might like Iris.
Friends don't give friends wedding bands.
That is some wise advice from the great Eddie Thawne. Or I should say the soon-to-be infamous Eddie Thawne.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's going to be many years, but,
So I kind of like this reverse, this fake out by Eddie with the proposal. At first it looks like he's proposing to her, but instead he's like, "Oh, that's much more reasonable. Just moving in with her." Okay,
yeah,
okay.
It's the old fake out of the key in the little proposal box.
Mm-hmm.
I love that he can telegraph where he's going with that. He's telegraphing that, hey, maybe one day, who knows?
Right.
Iris loves the idea.
Yeah, she loves it. And she loves him.
Yes, she does, much to Barry's chagrin.
Exactly.
Okay. Caitlin's exiting the mall.
Yeah, she's on the phone. She's like, oh, do we ever find out what Wells' present was?
I'm sorry?
Do we ever find out what Caitlin bought for Wells?
No, we don't. That
kind of bugs me. Bugs me.
You know what's funny? I kept rewinding the episode just so I could see. Because again, here's how the line's structured. Okay, it kind of bugs me, and I think it's just basically. I'll tell you what the writing thing is with this. The writing thing is that they couldn't figure out what book to get Wells either. They didn't want to figure out, so they kind of had this mid conversation thing. It's like that old Vince Gilligan.
That or a Hawkins biography, and we all know how he feels about Hawkins.
Yeah, that's the line. And again, it's like I love knowing these little tricks ever since I've listened to that Better Call Saul podcast from Vince Gilligan say. And of course, we come at the end of a scene. That's how you, instead of going through a whole list and a whole montage, you say, And that's the last one. Phew, that was a long day's work.
Right.
all those little tricks. Now, I want to address something with Caitlin here. This is why I make the argument she could also be a potential Scrooge. That this is Caitlin's first Christmas without Ronnie Raymond. It's another trip, by the way. Another holiday without Ronnie Raymond. So, and Caitlin's a little out of this episode.
No, I mean, I hear you. I just, like I said, just for the sake of what we're establishing.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm down for that. I'm just addressing that's where I'm coming from. That's where I'm weighing the case.
No, I hear you.
Moving on. But again, still a holiday trope like first Christmas without a loved one. Okay.
And you know what else is a holiday trope, Dragon?
What?
The awkward and bitter reunion of a loved one around the holidays.
There we go. So,
much like as told by Ginger.
True. Very good. Cookie points for Tiki.
Yay.
All right.
I love cookies.
So we have a yes. So we have a figure in the shadows of this parking area, and then we have a homeless man who is identical to Ronnie Raymond. Caitlin Snow's fiance, who supposedly died in the particle accelerator explosion.
Yep.
So she pursues the mysterious man, and that mysterious man becomes another famous DC character who is on Legends of Tomorrow now, but with a different body. I won't get into semantics on that. The point is, it's Firestorm.
Basically, DC's Human Torch, from what I can tell.
That's Tiki. Here's a funny thing with his name. He doesn't actually use fire. It's like molecular fire. He controls science, all right? He can change the matter.
Okay, here's the thing with me in the show, Dragon. Really like the characters on the show. I really like the dynamics and everything. I really like the sci-fi storytelling. The thing I don't like about the show is the pseudoscience mumbo jumbo that they come up with. To me, that's the show's biggest weak point.
I mean, look, he is using fire in the episode. I'm just saying he can do more than just the fire. We learn that later on. We don't just start off with it's just molecular fire. It's when we in Legends of Tomorrow, then we get more molecular tricks and stuff like that. But he is using. He's somewhat of a Human Torch right now, somewhat.
I mean, especially at the end, but we'll get there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Again, just the guy can he can set his head and his hands ablaze. Firestorm. Okay, so then he flees. She flees after she's again former love of her life, head on fire. I don't remember him doing that. Scurries away. Meanwhile, at Mercury Labs, and oh boy, well, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead, but yeah, we're at Mercury Labs right now. We have a guard asking, this is kind of some fun little guard chit chat here. The guards are asking the scientist, "Can you hint at what the big project is?" And this to me is a beautiful introduction to the man in yellow here, where he says, "I can give you." It gives him a hint: the future. And then they are interrupted by an intruder. They lock down the facility. Scientist is behind the barrier glass, and then the man in yellow enters.
And he just straight up murders these people.
Yeah, he snaps their necks at super speed. He scares the bejesus out of the scientist, so the scientist can get an idea on him. And he leaves.
Oh yeah. Right. So then we cut to the next bodies.
Sorry?
I said we cut to the next day with the bodies, like Barry and Joe are eating the bodies.
Right, yes. Crime scene, yes. Barry's telling Joe this was a super speed murder. Just to boil it down when he's kind of getting at with all the...
Thank you for boiling it down. Thank you.
Yes. Eddie gets the description from the scientist that it was a blur, much like the Flash, which sounds a lot like the Flash. And by the way, just at this point in the show, it's corrected in this episode, but all the episodes leading up to this, Eddie was kind of the somewhat of the J. Jonah Jameson, kind of thinking the Flash was, he was a
little bit. I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that, or like early again. Just funny.
I feel like the show did it. I feel like his arc was really, really satisfying through the season of slowly warming up to the Flash. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because again, like super speed meta and all these guys, and then this is the point where he at the end of this episode he learns what a meta is, and now he's like on the right path now. But the point is, he just thinks he's forming an anti-Flash task force right now. And I probably should mention that the episode right before this, that was the big Arrow Flash crossover where Flash turned evil. Where Flash turned evil for a time, and Arrow had to stop. And because of that, that's what really fueled the Anti-Flash Task Force as well. So misunderstandings and such. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. Yes, crime scene, a man in a yellow suit. That is the more specific description. And, of course, this is a big thing to Barry and Joe for very different reasons.
This drives Barry like right into Scrooge mode.
It's the man who killed Nora Allen. He's back. Like, oh my god. And then Joe revealed. I like that Joe reveals this on the spot instead of like keeping it a secret. He reveals it on the spot because that, and we saw this in the show by the way, that the Reverse Flash at the end of an episode, he visited Joe, took all the evidence he had on the Allen case, and he threatened. He told Joe to he told Joe not to investigate or else he'd kill Iris, which of course that's a very serious threat. And again, this guy, let me illustrate the difference here, folks. It's not like threatening Mary Jane with, "Hey, I'll kill Peter Parker if you." It's far more of a serious threat here. Where again, like the Reverse Flash, Barry, again, the man who instantly could psych out Barry the fact that, "Hey, I killed your mother," and then secondly, "Hey,
right.
I'm Reverse Flash, and I could easily beat you," as we see many points in this episode. Mm-hmm. So again, you don't want to mess with Reverse Flash. You understand Joe's fear.
Oh yeah. And this, of course, it just gets Barry just into a funk. He's just in this. He's got a dark cloud hanging over his head throughout a lot of the episode.
Yes. Meanwhile, we have a classic scene in Flash where the Star Labs team to stop the Speed Psycho, and of course Cisco and his classic character motif. He keeps coming up with the names, and he specifies that's not a name. That's not the name we're going with. Speed Psycho. I'm workshopping it. Cisco also with the candy cane, Cisco's always doing something.
Right.
There's a candy cane in his mouth, and this scene like a cigar.
Okay, can I ask you something, Dragon, just out of morbid curiosity because of the whole Cisco OCD thing?
Yes.
I hate to even ask this, I really do. At any point in Season 3, does he have a fidget?
I'm sorry, does he have a what?
A fidget spinner.
A fidget spinner? I don't know what that is.
You don't know what a fidget... Okay, never mind, forget I even asked.
All right. Just so you know... your audio has been, I can hear you, but I don't know, some points I think you not cutting out, but maybe stalling a little.
Okay, I probably should have brought that up sooner, but okay, I'll work on it. Oh, wait, hold on. How's that? I think that's better, right?
I guess we'll see how it goes.
Okay. I hope it's better. I just, the problem was I was accidentally using my webcam microphone, and now I'm using my,
Well, it's not the microphone. I think it's well, it's fine. We'll keep going.
Anyways, yeah, I'm
all right.
Sorry about that.
Yes, so let's see. So Joe's asking Wells about Mercury Labs. What's the deal with Mercury Labs? Basically, why was that place singled out? What's going on there? And basically, Wells gives the bona fide about the Mercury Labs, and this is really cool here what they did here. And we've done this a few times in this Flash show. I'm so proud of them for doing stuff like this. Where Wells goes into the backstory here that Mercury Labs was a competitor of Star Labs until Star Labs' major setback being the particle accelerator. Now Mercury Labs is definitely far ahead of Star Labs, and importantly, here's the thing I'm loving it for: it's led by Dr. Christina McGee. Oh boy! Now Christina McGee, there was the '90s Flash show, which I told Tiki. Well, it's kind of fun. While Tiki was watching through the current Flash, I was watching through the '90s Flash, and I kind of. And basically, we pull 3 actors from the original Flash series, and we always work them into this show. And it's really nice how we work them in. Of course, John Wesley Shipp is Barry Allen's father, Dr. Henry Allen, in this show, who played the Flash in the '90s show.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Christine McGee was essentially she was a one-man Star Labs. Instead of all these characters, it was one character, her, and she assisted the Flash. She patched him up, she helped him with his speed, and also there was kind of a budding love interest thing going on there. And we brought back the same actress and the same character name. She just works for a different person, and she has history with Harrison Wells. We just kind of added, and we use the old photo from the '90s show in like the thing Harrison Wells pulls up with the pictures of her, and of course Mark Hamill.
Nice.
Mark Hamill is the trickster, of course, big reference there. So those are the main three. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Cisco finds. All right, so Cisco finds, like, looking through the files and stuff from Mercury Labs, they dedicated $500,000 to prototypes for technology.
It's $500 million, Dragon. $500 million with a
It
B.
is.
Yeah.
$500 million.
$500 million.
All right, $500 million. So Cisco is dedicated Cisco finds they dedicate $500 million to prototypes for the technology of the future. Of course, future being the operative word with Reverse Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Wells realizes that it's tachyons. I love how he's playing this because he knows exactly what it is. Just, well, I'll be. It's tachyons.
Right, exactly. He's like, oh, gee whiz, gee williker, golly gee.
Now, just for the folks out there, tachyons are like little particles that make time travel possible. Kind of like flux capacitors, but they're like little particles in air.
Gotcha.
That's an oversimplification, but little particles.
No, the reason why I just there's so many little scientific things like that on the show. It's hard to keep track of them all.
And that's real science, though. Theoretically, tachyons are like things that can make time travel possible.
All right, that's cool. That's cool.
Okay, so anyway, and the point of tachyons here, so basically it's exposited. Tachyons will make someone could make someone invincible. Because, again, you can control time, which is really dangerous and a fun payoff we're going to see at the end of this episode, especially if you could devise. And I love how Wells is getting into this. And, of course, Wells basically saying, here's my plan with no one the wiser. If someone could devise a matrix to harness the power, you could travel faster than light. Exactly what Wells wants to do.
Right.
All right, so Barry has a plan. We use whatever Mercury Lab has as bait. Well, and Wells says, I like that plan. Wells and Cisco are preparing a trap.
Solid plan.
What's
all
going
right.
on?
See, we get Iris and Caitlin and wait, what's the shop called? Jeepers? Jitters. All right.
It's like it's fast. It's like you get jitters.
Yeah, gotcha. So let's see. So Caitlin's asking Iris about if she has, because of course Iris runs that blog on MetaHumans, and so she's asking Iris about the man whose head and hands burst into flames. Iris offers to send everything she found from the blog to Caitlin, and that's all good. And then Iris kind of drops a question like, "Hey, Barry's weird. Is there anything that I should know?" And, now remind me, Dragon, does Caitlin know anything about Barry and Iris? Because I honestly couldn't remember. I don't think she does.
Well, again, I think Caitlin's mainly concerned about, Iris doesn't know that he's the Flash, and I think that's what Caitlin's kind of concerned about.
Oh, gotcha. That makes sense.
Again, I'm not sure, how much of the relationship. I mean, she
so
can probably figure
that's
it
more
out.
kind of why she's dodging around it. Yeah, that's because of the Flash thing. All right, I gotcha.
Okay, and basically Caitlin says, well, nothing that I'm aware of, but you should really ask him yourself if you're concerned, Iris.
Mm-hmm.
Helpful advice.
Solid advice.
Okay, so Barry meets Tina McGee. And again, I love the sense of history.
Sorry I don't share your excitement, Dragon, but I appreciate your excitement.
So Barry meets Tina McGee for the first time. She comes back a couple times in the show, mainly the first season, but, she comes back a couple times. And, again, I love the sense of history she has with Wells that's it kind of captures the magic of the 90s show with stuff like that. I don't know how.
It almost feels like a continuation of the 90s show. Where maybe after the '90s show Wells came along.
Maybe not, but it feels like it feels like a nice show without logically continuing because it makes it would make no continuity sense. But it's just
because she mentored the show, right?
Yeah, and it feels like what you're describing. It feels like this could be a continuation, even though logically it makes no sense as a continuation. It feels like that. So she has history with Wells and the ideas, and we get into a reason for that down the line. Essentially, the reason down the line is that she was familiar with the actual Harrison Wells, but this is the fake Harrison Wells. So that's why she feels like she's got so distant, has bad memories of Harrison Wells. It's not the guy she remembers. Just them explaining it a little bit there. Okay,
sure.
they ask her to use the tachyons as a lure. You know, get the speech the criminal all trapped and everything. And then Wells, this is hilarious. Wells tries to sweet talk her. Basically sweet talk her into a deal here with the Kavanaugh charm, and it's so wonderful.
The Kavanaugh charm, oh yeah.
And again, this seriously, I mean that with Kavanaugh charm, because this is exactly what Tom Kavanaugh brings it so well. Because again, he's such a trusting guy. You would trust this guy, wouldn't you?
No, and you're right, Dragon. That's the great thing about the Wells character throughout season 1 is, like, we know from the pilot that this is a bad dude. This is a dude who, at the very least, is keeping some pretty sketchy secrets. You know what I mean?
But you never know.
It just gets worse and worse. But yeah, but as the series progresses, you're like, son of a bitch. I'm like liking him more and more, and even though I know he's manipulating Barry, he's still like this father figure type guy to Barry, you know, even though we love Joe. It's a good kind of back and forth, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and oh god, in so many ways he's a father figure. But let's not go down that rabbit hole. The point is, Harrison Wells has this great role here where he says, no one wants to ensure the future's technology more than me. And again, that's such a great line because one, it's such a charming little like, hey, no one that cares a bit more about the science in the future like me. But of course, the fun. Again, Reverse Flash's whole plan centers on these tachyons saying, hey, no one wants to ensure my future like me.
Exactly.
He wants to get back to the future so badly. It's so fun how he's so clever. He can work that into his dialogue. Okay, so it's a no-go because Tina McGee does not trust Harrison Wells and wishes them good luck in catching the criminal without sans the tachyons. Meanwhile, Cisco, what's going on, Cisco and Caitlin?
Okay, let's see. So Cisco, he's kind of he's running suggestions by Caitlin as Caitlin's sort of just feeling really down. And he's like, hey, we could catch him using a force field. And he runs the name by her like Opposite Flash. I'm kind of workshopping it, but what do you think? And then, I like how he can tell right away that Caitlin's distressed. And he's like, hey, what's going on? You know, are you okay? A really good friend, Cisco. And so, of course, Caitlin's telling him how she saw Ronnie, and Cisco's kind of rationalizing like Ronnie died, he evaporated, like, remember? And Caitlin's like, no, I saw him, I know it was him.
Yeah.
And she needs his help, so yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we get a heartbreaking holiday flashback. Well, I don't know if it's actually around the holidays.
Yeah, not really around. Well, I really don't believe it was around the holidays. But
it'd be great if it was, because then Barry and Wells would have the the whole like tragedy thing around the holidays. Anyways,
I really don't think it is. But I consider on the rewatch, I was like, I questioned it, but I realized they would have really made it more apparent if it was Christmas.
right. So,
but again, I mean, if the only way to find out, folks, is to watch the scene that hooked Kevin Smith on the show. Watch the last scene. If there's a Christmas tree in that emotional scene, then we'll know.
Wait. Are you saying the last scene of this episode with Joe and everything?
Sorry, I don't mean this. I mean of the season, like the last scene, the whole going.
Oh, okay. Anyway. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's see. So Barry is looking at the bulletin board, kind of like all the case. Basically, he has the case file built on like a little. Basically has like a bulletin board with like all the string and everything, like a classic investigator type thing. But has like behind like a little map he can pull down so he can kind of hide it. It's kind of a neat little setup he's got going on there. So while he's looking at that, and there's a really good. I mean, Grant Gustin's such a good actor in these types of scenes. It really is, and we don't get a lot of these scenes with him. But I mean, we get really great emotional kind of conversations with Grant Gustin. This is one of those kind of solo scenes we get with him, which is nice, where he's looking at him. We have a flashback we have this really nice flashback. I like how we're kind of padding out that night with a few more additional details here. We have a flashback of Nora telling young Barry that his bruises, because he was beat up like the earlier day, I believe. Like he was chased. Basically, the idea is like run, Barry, run. The cell phrase of the series, run, Barry, run, is he's running away from bullies, and that's you had to, if you could only run faster back in the day, that sort of gag. Where she tells him that the bruises it's going to hurt, but it's healing. So again, there's kind of a message in that alone. She puts him to bed.
This whole scene is like chock full of metaphor.
Yes, it is. And it's very well written. I love the kind of the thing that's set up here that Joe. This scene cements. It seeds the.
Oh
Joe
yeah, absolutely. This scene's a great setup for the Joe speech
it's
for sure.
Absolutely pivotal to the Joe speech later on. It's like the ending of this. Basically, let's see. So Barry's mother essentially, she's tucking him in, and she's, and Barry's like he wants to leave the hall light on, like any kid, like leave the hall light on. Basically, the idea is he's afraid of the dark, and then she corrects him and says, "No, you're not afraid of the dark, Barry. You're afraid of being alone in the dark, and that goes away when you realize you're never alone." And then Henry Allen, all that one, and this is John Wesley Shipp. This is again the original Flash, the from the 90s.
Right.
So good old John Wesley Shipp, and this guy's a good actor. I like John Wesley Shipp, nice guy. He comes on in, and he basically Barry's asking for a glass of water. He says, "Oh, you're just stolen. You're just stolen, sport." And he and I love he already had him beat by having the glass of water in his hand. He's just like, there we go, I beat you to it. Here you go. And they it's really nice. Little nice little bit. Putting the kid to bed, and as they leave, say goodnight. She has this nice line. She says, "Sweet dreams, my oh god, it's so nice." Nora Allen, they play her so wonderfully. You have to in these flashbacks to make kind of carry the gravity.
Of course.
Sweet dreams, my beautiful boy. She turns off at Barry's request. She turns off the light, just showing like her words echo in the boy's mind. And then we see a quick glimpse at the night.
Oh boy,
the night where murder took place. And I like how we cut here. We cut between the murder happening, which again we've seen already. Of course, it's like it's Batman's parents essentially. That's kind of the gravity of this moment for the Flash. We cut between the murder, and the Man in Yellow, with Barry looking at the clippings really intensely, and we see the clippings like wife of Dr. Murder and Henry Allen's arresting, and the two big things of injustice in Barry's life. He's looking right at him. And then, of course, the water's rising, which, of course, that's a big clue for the ending. Basically, when the water and when tachyons are present, they make the water rise. When someone time travels, all the water and stuff rises. And anyway, so all that stuff's going on, and he kind of snaps out of his iris centers.
Yeah, he's just kind of feeling because he's really beating himself up. He's like, he's telling Iris how he used to look at the sport a lot, and he hasn't looked at it as much as he should have, lately. And Iris is kind of taken aback by this. She's like, "Wow, I didn't know you. I didn't know you were so into this. You know what I mean? I didn't know you were deeply entranced into this investigation."
I guess there's some stuff you don't know about me.
And then she kind of dropped a bombshell that Eddie asked her to move in, and of course, poor Grant Gustin. You know what I mean? He just acts like he's a puppy who's just been kicked. He's just like, "Oh, well, it's kind of fast." Yeah, well, it's been a year, and he said that you might be weirded out by that. He said you might not like that news. He's like, and he said that? Really? I have no idea why. Why would he say that?
Yeah, basically he's denying that he's denying him acting weird lately, and then liking Iris. He's denying it.
Weird. I acted even more weird, essentially.
It's not as over the top as we're making it out to be here, but it was definitely something off. Barry's very obviously disturbed by it.
Oh.
And years of basically Barry kind of rationalizes by saying, "Well, the years have gone by fast," even while he was in kind of speed coma.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't realize how far along they were, and then we just how far along you guys were, and of course Iris saying. Yeah, and that's what I told him. So yeah, we're all good there. And
Iris is just so oblivious to it, though. You know what I mean? It's like we, the audience, can tell that inside he's just like, "Fuck," And Iris is just like, "Oh, Barry, I knew you'd say that. That's what I told Eddie. Oh, you're my BFF."
That's as much as I love season 1, Tegan. I love season 1. That's the one. That's one of those things that's really apparent. That Iris
just really doesn't get it.
We were figuring out Iris in season 1, and now basically when she's in on the loop, that's when she greatly improves with that sort of stuff.
I can see that.
And again, I really feel they should have put her in the loop earlier in the show. I think that would have really helped him.
I mean, I do think they had storytelling purposes for not putting her in the loops, and I appreciate that. But I think you're right, probably for just the benefit of the drama, if anything else.
Yeah. Okay, so Iris leaves, and then again we're lingering on poor Barry.
just that long poor shot of him sighing. It's just like, oh God, your heart goes out to him.
And he looks out the window and he sees a Charlie Brown tree. No, he doesn't see a Charlie Brown tree. He looks out the window, and I love this. We have like thunder and lightning, and thunder, and then of course we see the man in yellow, and then we have the big chase. The big chase we started on.
Yeah, so it makes sense. Like, of course, if he sees the man in yellow, he's not going to waste, he's not going to be like another superhero in a red suit who's going to waste time changing into a costume.
Well, potential Uncle Ben's are being murdered.
Right. Oh, I love that theory.
So Barry is he's finally confronted after the chase. We saw they kind of reach a stopping point for a moment. They get some conversation going on. Barry confronts the man in yellow after all. He has a powerful scene. Oh my God, Grant Gustin, he's finally getting to play like the scene. There's like one of those like Batman. It's like a Batman Joe Chill scene. Like
right.
Awesome scenes here. You were there that night. You killed my mother. Why?
If you want to know why, you're going to have to catch me, Flash.
Yes. And of course, then we keep linking up with the opening with all that stuff here, and then we get to now we're at the football stadium. Boom, boom, boom.
This is a really, really good set piece, I must say, for an action scene.
It's like a speed coliseum almost.
Yeah.
So let's see. So again, I love that all the electricity from them running around is kind of lighting the power a little bit. It's two speeds.
Yeah, no, I really like this location because, like you said, there's just a lot you can do with it visually. Like, this really stands out as one of the best fights of season 1, I think.
I think what they realize, and we kind of have this built with Star Labs at the same time, is that we have a not an oval shape, but we have like an area where basically you can run around the sides and then you can like go in the middle somewhere. That's kind of your main.
Exactly.
That's kind of your really that's the one of the best kind of purposeful settings you can have with the Flash fights. You can run around. You can also say stuff and kind of fight it out in the middle. It's like it's kind of good. It's clever that way.
Sure.
So the two speedsters charge at each other. Tiki, this was such a great promo. You got to bear in mind. This was an awesome promo to these guys.
I could imagine.
It's basically saying next week in the holiday episode of The Flash, and it ended on that shove, like the two charging at each other. Like, oh. So the two speedsters are charging at each other from across the field. And I wrote my notes there. I just want to get out there. This is how you make football cool, in my opinion. This is how you make football cool.
Yeah, pretty much.
And unfortunately, the man in yellow, he wins as he tackles and taunts Barry. It's again more like a Charlie Brown deal. He flips him on his back, just like
it is pretty much like a Charlie Brown football move, right?
Then he says like a mocking line, like Lucy does when he says, "Not fast enough, Flash." Then the chase continues, and the pursuit continues, and it continues through the stadium, like all the backstage of the stadium, all through the seats and everything. They fight back. They're back on the field. They're fighting it out. This is when they're really like trading blows and stuff here. Where who are you? Again, Barry's asking, "Who are you?" You know
who I am, Barry. We've been at this a long time, but I'm always one step ahead.
Yes, he delivers 5 super speed punches and tosses him across the ground, and at the end, it's a really cryptic clue he gives him there. You know who I am. Which is, again, his Reverse Flash is just so darn cocky. He really is.
Right.
He's just like, hey, I'm under your nose. You don't even know it. Oh God, he's always so wonderful. And again, this is kind of something we're kind of talking about now with like the Justice League trailer. Again, this right here, this is Barry's first fight with a speedster. He's never had to go up against a speedster before.
Yeah, sure.
It was a first for him. And again, he's not trained for a fight with a speedster.
I've got to say, the Justice League stuff is like, it's going to be really weird. Like, they're going to have a tough act to follow with like the dynamic, Barry and his father in prison and everything. Like, seeing that in the trailer, it's like, oh man, deja vu, right?
Well, I heard they cut that stuff out.
Oh, really?
Well, again, I don't know what Whedon's going to do with it, if he's going to put those scenes back in or not. But again,
because they had a couple pretty prominent shots of that in the first trailer, not the second trailer.
there is a genuine chance they're going to just repurpose that for the Flash movie, possibly. I don't know.
That
anyway,
Flash movie is just. Oh man!
I got to tell you though, after what I'm going to be. Let me say this though. The last thing I'll say about the Justice League thing is that after rewatching this, just reminding myself of my love of Reverse Flash again. I could buy an introduction though of the Reverse Flash as the Flashpoint movie. I could buy that as a premise for a Flashpoint movie. I really could.
I could buy that as well for sure.
So we introduce him. That's how we do Reverse Flash a little bit differently than we do here. It's like all in one movie. Where again, it's like, I don't want to get sidetracked. Anyway, getting back on point here. So yes, he's being really cocky here in the stadium, and cryptic clue.
It's your destiny to lose to me, Flash. Just was your mother's destiny to die that night.
Oh yeah, I love he's holding him down too. Like, you're so beaten, you don't have a chance, and then he disappears. I love that we see Barry on the ground after he leaves, after Reverse Flash leaves. We see Barry, he's powerless, he's beaten, and importantly, the thing that's really stopping him from getting up, and you can see it after he says the thing about his mother's eyes are wide, he's shell shocked by just what happened to him. It's like all that adrenaline pumping after seeing the man who murdered his mother. After all, he hasn't seen this guy since he was a kid, and in the moment where he could have saved his father, he could have gotten justice for his parents, he failed. Oh
yep,
God!
Yep.
Yes. Okay, next day.
All right, so Barry's just kind of like really, really out of it at Star Labs. Just really kind of, he's got his mind in the gutter.
He's telling his two father figures about the man in the yellow suit.
Exactly.
And basically, the history
My two dads.
Yep. He gets more dads as the seasons go on.
Oh no! Oh God! I mean, he does have his real father as well. So
that's the thing. So anyway, so we have we have a history. Yeah, basically gives him kind of a history lesson. But no, he basically says that the man in yellow gave him a history lesson. Implying he knows a lot more about him than he knows about the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
Barry lost his confidence after his speed thrash. After Reverse Flash, thrashed him with his speed. And again,
basically, I'm no longer the fastest man in the world.
I'm not the fastest man alive anymore. He is.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bit I caught in here I didn't catch before. I was so pleased by it. We have this bit where after he says that line, he says, "I'm not the fastest man alive. I'm not the fastest man alive. He is." We cut to Harrison Wells, and he's removing his glasses, so proud of himself in a moment.
Right.
It's like a little noxious bit. He's removing his glasses, but again, he's doing that because he's trying to contain himself. Like how pleased he is. My arch enemy just said, "I'm better than him." Yes.
God.
It's like so giddy rewatching it. Oh my God, it's great. So how can we possibly catch him? That's kind of the question raised here. And then thankfully, this is. And again, he's being mentory in the scene too. He's just that Kavanaugh. He's brilliant.
Oh yeah.
Well, there's a mentor moment here where he says, you see, Mr. Allen, the beautiful thing about force fields, Mr. Allen, is that they're impervious. To speed, and we're almost ready. All we need is for Detective West to secure the baits. Now Barry's not staying. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, Barry gets really, upset when Joe suggests that he stay behind. He's like, now is not the day for that, Joe.
And the two father figures exchange glances, and it's like definitely implying that we know this kid's going to be a problem. We got to set him straight.
Exactly. Right.
There he is. 2 additional dads.
Dads, sure. We'll go with that. Anyways.
Okay.
So they're at Mercury Labs. Let me see. Or wait, is that it? Mercury?
Yeah, we're at Mercury Labs.
Okay, I'm sorry. Just wanted to make sure I had the name right.
Yes, so McGee. Like the thing, the thermometer.
Oh. Okay, yeah. So now Joe is trying to insinuate a warrant, right?
Yeah,
for the prototype.
Yeah, Joe has a court order, which he may be bluffing. There's a chance of it here, where McGee smells like. Essentially, McGee smells Wells all over this plan.
All over it.
And then we have, again, Barry motivated. This scene's so good. Barry motivated. He threatens to, you have a lot of dumb cops come through here, and I'm sure you're not threatened by that. But I've come through here, and I've seen a lot of interesting stuff in development. And I could just essentially he threatens to leak some of the cool stuff in development that he's seen to
basically blackmail.
Yeah, he could leak the stuff he's seen to Scientific Showcase magazine. Should I contact the editors directly, or should I leave a few posts? And then and again, he hands her over a barrel. Says, You'll have the tachyons within the hour. And then there's this great line here, and again, it's so telling and so great with all her reveals and stuff here, where she says, basically, she says Barry and Wells are very much alike.
Mm. I can see why he admires you, Mr. Allen.
You're very much alike. Oh yes, the great little tease. Joe's impressed, but Barry's not enjoying the moment there. He's just, again, he's all business there, and that kind of scares Joe, because that's not the Barry Allen he raised. He raised like a guy be all happy-go-lucky. Man, I lucked out with that bluff so well. Man, I just no, he's
right.
Yeah. Then we have Eddie arriving to Joe, and again, a little chutzpah on Eddie here, because he's going to his older partner here, and he's saying he demands the Flash Task Force be involved in the sting operation they're planning. He demands it because, again, basically he's starting to go over Joe's head. So Joe, of course, he reluctantly says, "Fine."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You do the same thing if you were me.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. So Cisco and Caitlin, they're using something called CPM to track Ronnie. I don't know what the hell.
They're tracking ionized particles.
All right.
Again, that's what I'm saying. It's fire, but it leaves a molecular trail. That's essentially what he's. Again, there's always like a molecule on it, but it is fire. He's using fire.
So Caitlin's warning Cisco that Ronnie's not like how he remembered him. And then the device powers off, and Cisco wishes it was because the batteries were dead.
It's him, and oh boy. He denies being Ronnie, and he's Firestorm, and he disappears.
I am Firestorm.
He does not want to be found, but I like in the performance. And by the way, this is like Stephen Amell's. I want to say Stephen Amell's cousin. The guy who plays Arrow is his cousin.
Oh, really? Nice.
It's a relative of his. I'm pretty sure it's cousin. That's why he looks a little bit.
Also,
like
Dragon, I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm getting a serious Bucky Barnes vibe off this guy.
I think you're saying that because of the long hair. He ditches the long hair.
No, I'm saying that because of the long hair, and also because of the whole fact that he's he's traumatized. He's brainwashed. I mean, not really brainwashed, but he's not himself. I don't know. You don't see that at all.
I kind of see it, but you and I both know it doesn't last that long, so that's why.
Yeah, right. Yes, the long hair does help with the Bucky comparison. I'll admit.
Okay, let's see. So following that again, he's Firestorm. He disappears. I do like the acting here, where he basically, you can see like when Caitlin's like putting her hands around his head. It was very dangerous, by the way. Putting her hands around his head. She sees like, again, he's saying this, but he doesn't mean it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cisco tells Barry the device is in place and it'll work. Joe and Wells, they're basically they're very agreeable.
They're basically deemed like my two dads. It's pretty much that. It's like, hey, we're your two father figures, and we've got something to say.
They believe that Barry, even though one of those father figures killed his mother.
Right.
So
this is a very
Joe and Wells
family sitcom. A lot of moving parts to it.
So Joe and Wells believe that Barry shouldn't be here for the sting operation. Shouldn't be here for this because he's way too close for it. And how can you not agree with him?
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't again, Barry's kind of firing back at Joe here. And again, we love Joe West. I mean, we never want. It's Joe. We never want to see that unkind word from Joe.
Yeah.
But again, Barry's kind of firing at him with a he has a point. If you weren't so scared, Joe, I could have prepared for this better. We could have been ready for this. You withheld information. And of course, and it's so fascinating.
That is a good point.
It's such a great master manipulator thing here. Wells defends Joe. Of course, he's the one who threatened Joe in the first place. Wells is defending Joe. For you can understand why he's protected Iris. Yeah, that's how good I am. I said. Uh, and of course, you can't catch him. Not in this state.
Mm-hmm.
Firing back at Barry here, and of course Barry has this line here. This man stabbed my mother through the heart and sent my father to prison. This is my fight. And then, oh my God, this is Jesse L. Martin here. He steals this right here where he says,
"Not today, son."
Nobody calls him son in that because that's what they. Well, that's nice. Barry storms off because he can't say anything against that. Darn it, he's got me over a barrel.
Right. It's kind of like the equivalent to like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, so Caitlin and Cisco, this is a really sad scene for Caitlin. She's talking about, this game she would play in her head about like what she'd give up for a minute with Ronnie, her career, the rest of her life, and her home. And now that she has that minute, it's just awful. She just thinks like, I just wish he would have died that day. What is he become? That's just such a real thing. And I like Cisco's like, we'll get him back for what? So we can like, put him in a cell like all the other maniacs. Oh man, just not yeah. I see what you mean about the Scrooge thing with Caitlin. She's just not in a good place. But of course, Cisco, he's a good friend. He's there to comfort her. So, good stuff. Anyways. Okay, so Barry, I really like how this episode's structured, where after Barry kind of gets banished from the mission, he goes on sort of like a whirlwind tour, you know what I mean, to make amends with people.
I'm sure this sounds like a broken record, but this is another beautiful scene.
It is. He starts with his father. He's just very remorseful. Of course, his father's in prison. They're talking, behind the glass and everything. So Barry's, he feels like he's screwed up. He finally found the man in yellow. He had him, but he couldn't beat him. He got away, and he was so close. And oh God, I think the line that cements it is every day you've spent in here has been because of him until today. Now you're in here because of me.
And I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And Henry's telling Barry that Henry comes at Barry here with. This is really nice here. He tells Barry, this is such a good father, this Henry Allen. Even behind the glass, such a good father. Henry tells Barry it's not his fault. And that everything, again, really kind of helping his son here with some advice. You're saying, everything you've done for the past 14 years is because me and your mom. You became a CSI, you moved in with Joe and Iris, basically pointing out that, he knows his son, so he knows that he loves Iris, which is nice.
Oh, yeah.
And basically pointing out that you never pursued her and had a life with her because of us, because you've been haunted by us and been trying to do right by us. And basically what he says here is, now it's time to let it go now, Barry. Now it's time to let it go now.
Mm-hmm.
The man
with the yellow suit has taken enough from us. Don't let him take any more.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's good writing.
It is.
Really good writing.
And so Barry takes that advice, and he might not be the most finessed with said advice, So he goes to Iris, who's doing some award-worthy tree trimming. And Barry just gets right into it. He's like, I love you. I loved you before I even knew what the word love meant. My mom died, and then I had to go live with the girl that I had a crush on. And so, of course, Iris is just stunned at this. And Barry's just going over, like, so many times I wanted to tell you, when I left for college, when I got back from college, all the Christmases, all the birthdays, all the nights we spent talking to each other, but I couldn't. And I was just afraid that if I told you and you didn't feel the same way, I'd lose you, and I couldn't lose you too after my mother. And that's the irony. I was so scared of losing you that I did. Good line right there. Good line.
I know my timing couldn't be worse.
Yeah. Timing couldn't be any worse. I couldn't lie to you anymore. I got it down. And of course, Iris is just stunned. It's kind of like a less dramatic version of the whole Spider-Man 2, confessing to Aunt May thing. It's just like, she just sort of leaves, you know what I mean? She's just sort of like, oh, okay. And yeah, like I said, Barry, taking his father's advice, maybe not the best timing. Obviously, not the best timing.
But you know what? I don't fault that. I don't fault that because again, he's been holding it back for. He's been holding that in for so long. He's had such an emotional thing. Again, the killer of his mother shown up, and again, he's had this really emotional thing with his father. So, he's going to take what his father said to heart. Like, I'm going to move on, starting right now. I'm not going to let the man yell consume me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I buy it.
So speaking of the man in yellow falls through the trap, gets trapped in a force field. So they go, let's see what we've got.
Oh yeah, so right off the bat here, here's a scene for you folks. Here's a head scratcher of a scene. I love this scene from mystery context, obviously. So we have, oh boy, so yeah, they catch the Reverse Flash. Now, importantly, and I love the set of this. So basically, Cisco sent a pulse, and you'll notice Reverse Flash isn't there. And we also notice Harrison Wells is in the scene.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And again, we know Harrison Wells has been up to something sinister, and up to this point, we have suspected that Harrison Wells is the Reverse Flash. We suspect. Now, it's not just like like a certain sect of them. Everyone suspected Harrison Wells was the guy, based on that sinister stuff. And again, they have him trapped. And again, we the audience are kind of scratching our heads. And again, Harrison Wells has that line. Let's see who we caught. Him of all people,
right.
Saying that just again, like essentially, this whole scene is Harrison Wells' alibi, and it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone armed to the teeth, our four task force guys enter with Joe and with Joe, Wells, and Eddie. And Joe wants answers. Importantly, Joe's looking for a confession. Again, to get Henry out of there. Once he gets that confession, you get Henry out of Dodge.
I really like how the Reverse Flash just completely ignores Joe and goes straight to Well.
Now, the reason for this, by the way, is that it's somewhat. I won't get into the reason. I won't get into it. He may not be able to respond, which is why he doesn't tell Joe, which is kind of fun and clever.
Okay. I mean, I just thought it was like an ego thing, like, you're beneath me, I'm not talking to you.
If I'm right, and I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering correctly, it was in that reveal in the episode that Reverse Flash, he had this is a recording. When he's talking to them, it's a recording, and that's why he can't answer.
Okay. Gotcha.
Which is just it's clever. So yes, he ignores Joe and he ignores Joe and West. And again, he's addressing Wells. Again, all of this recording and all this talk right now is directing is towards Wells. Again, per the alibi. Dr. Wells, we meet at last.
Mm-hmm.
Wells is asking, what do you want with the tachyons? My goals are beyond your understanding.
I don't know. I'm a pretty smart guy.
Yeah, he's just that Kavanaugh charm. He's right there.
Yeah, that might be the line of the episode, right? Well, no, that's not the line of the episode, but that's the good, like, comedic line.
The lines, for me, the line's coming up. I hope it's the same for you.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'd
be shocked if it is. This is the line of the episode. Okay, we're getting there, folks. It's so exciting. So, basically, Harrison Wells kind of rattling off why he's the smart guy who can understand. So, basically saying how I outsmarted the Reverse Flash. I guess he's gloating to himself about himself.
Right.
We knew you needed an invisible trap. Basically, we need the trap. You needed to be invisible. I knew your cells could repair them. Could repair themselves, which is why you're withstanding the damage to your body right now. Again, there's no body in there, so you're just trying to make it sound. Cisco sees, and again, I love the tension here. It's like Cisco seeing, the containment field, it's fluctuating, it's going to fail. Again, padding out the alibi.
Mm-hmm.
Your powers are almost, and here we go. For me, here we go. It's like leading up right here. Your powers are almost exactly like that of the Flash. And then here's the line.
Yeah.
For me, here's the line. Here we go. The origin of the name from the man in yellow. Chris's name. Oh, I'm not like the Flash at all. Some would say I'm the reverse. Cisco's calling to Dr. Wells saying, evacuate now, Dr. Wells, evacuate now.
Also, I think I came up with the name. It's perfect.
I love that, though, that he didn't come up with the name, though. That he in a way, Reverse Flash named himself.
Right.
In a way. So yes, they evacuate. Then he just instantly he escapes. He grabs Wells. He's beaten Wells in full view of the CCPD. He's beaten him senseless. Again, the perfect alibi. He's beating the crap out of himself. He can't be the guy. Joe's saying, "Turn off the barrier," but and then of course Cisco has like that. He's in a rock and a hard place, but then he'll escape. We can't let this guy escape. For Barry's sake, our friend Barry's sake, we can't let him escape. But again, we love Dr. Wells. We can't let him die either.
Right.
He'll kill Wells, and again,
Wells is such a good man.
And again, this is so interesting that Joe, who initially in the beginning he suspected Wells and he didn't like Wells at all, he's now risking he's risking all of it for Wells. He grabs like an axe or something. He's breaking the machine to get Wells out of there. And again, showing how far Joe's come on Wells' side.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the fool in the grand scheme. Let's see. So yes, Joe breaks the trap to save Wells, and then unfortunately, Reverse Flash. He grabs the tachyons. Seemingly, he escapes. Caitlin texts Barry about the very dangerous situation going on right now. SOS texts him, which means in a few seconds Barry's going to be there.
Right.
Reverse Flash. They're looking for Reverse. They spread out, find him, and then of course he's there. It's like a shark is in the room. Oh my God, we are gonna die. Reverse Flash. He instantly he kills these four. He kills like the 4 or 5 task force guys. This is great bit. This is such a great plot bit. He stares Eddie in the face because he just looks at it with that that shifting, like basically they vibrate their molecules so it can't be seen to hide the identity. He's staring Eddie in the face, not hurting him because of course if he hurts Eddie, he's not going to exist.
Right, exactly.
But he's willing to kill Joe there, and that's how. Yeah, he's just about to kill Joe because he grabs Joe and he's about to probably like vibrate through his heart in a second. In a moment, he's probably about to do that. I warned you not to hunt me. He's either going to kill Joe or he's going to kill Iris in that moment, which is
right.
And the Flash swoops in at the last second to save his dear old fatherly dad. He takes him outside, like they swirl outside, and then it's in the parking lot of Star Labs. It's Flash versus Reverse Flash. Flash is taking a beating, he's being thrown into a few cars. We have some uppercuts, he unmasked Barry against, like, oh boy, it's such a dramatic scene here. And Caitlin and Cisco are on the outside, they have no idea what to do, they're helpless, they can't help him, he's a goner. And again, poor Barry, and I do like this though, that in this fight, Barry he's getting a little faster because he's getting a little faster as he makes like an uppercut. I'm sorry, I got to back. I'm going to backtrack just for a millisecond here.
Okay.
Something with the action I want to point out with Barry early on, I guess, in the stadium fight. I thought it was here for some reason. Is that Barry throughout the fight, as he gets more and more frustrated, you'll notice he gets closer to hitting Reverse Flash. Like he almost hit the Reverse Flash that one time because he was getting so pissed off at him. And he's like, anyways. Right. So back to this fight. Importantly, he's taking a beating and he's unmasked. Looks like he's a goner. Again, it seems like he might kill the Flash. In grand scheme, he's not going to. And we don't know this at this point. Firestorm swoops in. What does he do?
Firestorm swoops in and basically gives the ultimate assist. He just kind of, just goes in for the kill.
Yeah, he blasts him to the side there. Reverse Flash has the wind knocked out of him, and then our race is not done yet. See you soon, Flash. Disappears.
So if you've ever played Super Smash Brothers Brawl, Firestorm is basically an assist trophy. He's just like, all right, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do a cool move and I'm going to finish you off.
That reminds me of
Thanks, Firestorm.
That reminds me of Marvel vs. Capcom. We have like your three guys on the side who's going to help you.
Team thing, right. That's probably more appropriate.
All right, so then Firestorm, Caitlin, Cisco. Cisco's going to help Barry. Caitlin goes to Ronnie, and then Ronnie tells Caitlin, "Man, these poor 2 kids in love here. It's a shame, don't look for me again."
And then I'm sorry, Dragon. I'm sorry, but he flies off like the damn Human Torch. All right? I'm sorry.
His molecular fire is so hard to communicate.
All right. Okay.
All right. Okay.
We're about to get to it, Dragon. We're about to get to it.
All right. So Caitlin is. Wait. I'm trying to make again. All right, what? Okay, he flies away. Okay, Eddie. Eddie's haunted by the fact that, like, why didn't he kill me? He's just so haunted by why he didn't kill me. I love that idea. They're so haunted by the fact he didn't kill him. We find out the great reason for that later on.
Sure. He's telling Joe, like, you know more than you've been letting on, right? And so then Joe reveals the metahumans thing to Eddie, people with very powerful abilities and whatnot, so on and so forth. And they're the only guys on the force who know about it, and they need to keep it that way so no one else gets hurt.
Mm-hmm. Then he asks about the Flash.
Like, do you know who the Flash is? Yeah, I do, Eddie. The Flash is the one who saved our lives tonight.
Like that Barry walks by for
that's a good touch. That's a good touch.
Is he gonna tell him? And no, of course, Joe being a wonderful guy, he just kind of says, like, it's very much kind of like the whole it's kind of thing from Dark Knight Rises, where it's the whole, like, shouldn't the people of Gotham know who saved? It was kind of the ending of the whole. Shouldn't people of Gotham know who saved? And the whole, like, it was the Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all you need to know. Oh man, it's perfect. Yeah. Okay.
So, really quick at Star Labs, Wells is kind of like,
Galen's patching him up.
Mm-hmm. He's like, well, if you want to apologize, you should start by not telling me about Ronnie.
Yes. And what's funny about this is the fact that, again, had he known about Ronnie, he wouldn't have been blasted and defeated at the end of that scene.
So it's kind of funny. It's like he's like he's kind of jokey, more or less. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, inside he's like, son of a bitch, you really should have told me about Ronnie, and I could have been prepared.
Yeah. And Caitlin's saying she needed time to make him whole again before she reached out to Wells. And Wells is very understanding and just playing it. You gotta remember, Wells does truly care for these people, especially Cisco. He does care for these guys.
Definitely Cisco, for sure, yeah.
And it kind of complicates things. You have to wonder, like, how much attachment does he have? Because, again, he had to start – it's so fast. He had to start the whole business and everything and kind of cultivate these guys. And you have to wonder how much of that is, I need these guys to actually make this happen, or I picked these guys. Like, how much of it is he actually becoming Harrison Wells?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yes, as long as, again, this is in the course of this episode, it's just this as well as kind of having his arc of I've been a little distant around the holidays, and I see I really should have been there for my people, through thick or thin.
I've made a lot of promises to you that I've broken, but I promise you this: I will bring Ronnie home.
Yeah,
and yeah, you're right. That is a good conclusion to a Scrooge arc.
Okay, let's see. Then we have Barry.
Here it is.
Barry stuff. Summarize it.
Okay. So Barry's looking at a photo of his mother. He's like, or a snow globe. Yeah, I'm sorry. He's kind of reminiscing with Joe, like, my mom traveled around the world once. She left studying abroad, and she went to Europe after graduating. Wanted to go back, but didn't have the time. Couldn't get to it. And so Joe's kind of talking. He's like, well, I offered to send you abroad, and Barry, he's stuck. He feels stuck. He's like, I've been in Central City. This is what I need to do. I've been in that living room for 14 years, and here we go. I was
here's Jesse L. Martin's Emmy scene.
Oh yeah, most certainly.
He has like a whole shelf of episode Emmys. Like, he gets an Emmy for every episode. In a way, in our hearts, he gets an Emmy for every episode. We have a moment like this.
Right, so Barry's like, I was mad at you for being scared, but the truth is, I was the one who was scared. I've been afraid of the man in the yellow suit my whole life, and that's why I lost. And then, okay, here we go. And I don't have it word for word because I didn't have time to get it word for word, but I have as much of it as I can.
Well, Barry apologized for being mad at Joe. He had a fear had fear for the first Flash. And then, okay, Joe expected things to be tough. There's your setup on going.
When you first moved in with us, I thought it was going to be too much. I was a single dad, finances were tough, and you were a little boy who just lost his mother. Man, was I wrong. Within 2 weeks, you changed the dynamic of the whole house. There was just this light inside of you.
There's the line. There you go. From the darkness, from the being scared of the dark, from the light being turned off in the beginning.
You faced more darkness than any man I've ever known, Barry. And yet, you've never lost that light. So don't, let me see, hold on. So don't lose that light. Or no, I'm sorry.
No, I was lose that light. That's
no. There's one more thing. I I thought I was changing your life by taking you in, but you changed mine. Don't lose that light there. And then here we go, Dragon. Here we go.
Yes.
Moment. Oh
Can
my
I-
God.
Okay, okay, I'll start it off. Okay.
Okay.
The world may need the Flash.
But I need my Barry Allen.
Yes!
Oh, God.
It's
Oh,
raining Emmys,
God.
folks. It's raining Emmys like snowflakes. It's raining little golden snowflakes with a big Emmy cloud.
I mean, I don't know, Dragon. To me, honest to God, just how genuine that moment. It's got to be my favorite moment of all of season one. Just from a pure character level, I need my Barry Allen.
I tell you, and again, Jesse Owens is so talented. He can pull these off like left and right, and they feel so
Right,
special.
right.
They really do, every one of them. But I'll tell you this: what really grabs me in this one of all the scenes, Sticky, is the fact that essentially this was one of the first times. Again, first season, and everything. One of the first times, Joe so eloquently and so wonderfully, he basically says this is why people should care about the Flash. This is what separates the Flash from Batman or Superman. The Flash, Superman, essentially, again, I don't want to. Again, he's lost his people, but he didn't really know them all because he was a baby. Again, Superman's kind of living the high life.
Mhm.
Batman, he's got a lot of tragedy, but he's got some money to cry. And Flash, he's got a lot of tragedy, a lot of trauma. He's got super speed, but again, it's things don't always work out for him. He's got all this darkness in his past. He has like an unprovable murder for the majority of his life. He goes through all this dark crap. At the same time, he's still all kind of light and jovial. I'm not saying I want to make this clear. A lot of the misconception of the Flash is that he's a jokey guy. He is light and he can make jokes and he can quip, but it's the fact that he's a positive guy. He's not so much like a jokey, snarky, quippy guy. He's a nice guy.
Right. Okay, so let's see. So yeah, just excellent moment from Jesse Lamar.
Beautiful scene.
Oh
we
my
go
God.
to two great little scenes following that. So we're at the West House on Christmas.
Have Yourself a Very Merry Christmas is playing.
Yeah, I love that song choice for the ending of this too. But it felt so good, and whatever rendition they used, it's great.
It felt kind of like a coffee house sort of rendition, like a nice like smooth jazz,
And we know Joe loves jazz.
Oh yeah. All right. So
Wells attend.
Yeah, Joe invited all of them, but Wells isn't up for a social gathering.
He was beaten nearly to death, so you understand.
Yeah, so that All right, let's see.
A bit with Iris and Barry, where basically Barry goes over and he gives Iris and Eddie his blessing on the move. Like, hey, congratulations, you two. And again, you have this little sad bit between Iris and Barry and the fact that she knows that he's not truly happy about this.
Right.
Why can't we like move the stars and get these two kids together? Why?
All right, so Joe's like, days like today, Grandma Esther's eggnog seems a little light on the bourbon. You know what that is, Dragon?
What?
It's Grandma Esther's light eggnog.
That's
eggnog
right, folks.
Light.
When you need something to take, when you've come across,
but not get you slaughtered.
When you've come across the time traveling man who murdered your mother, and you need to kick your feet up and you need to lick your wounds. Here's how you lick your wounds around the holiday. You take a big old pipe and Santa mug full of Grandma Esther's special and specially famous eggnog. You take a few swigs. You turn on TV, watch the Norelco shaver ad, and you say, "Life is good."
Yes, that's exactly what you do.
That's what you do. But okay, in all seriousness, here's what's going on here. This is a fun little bit here, and this is a big reveal for this again mid-season finale.
This is a really good kind of like, climax to the mystery we've been building up. Yeah.
Cisco and Joe have a little scene here. Basically, the idea is the two of these guys. They looked. I forget if Cisco looked into Wells at this point. I know Joe has been looking into Wells, but the point is, he has gotten Cisco's help, just at least looking into the murder of Barry's mom. And Cisco realizes, when they revert again, we saw this in that big parking lot fight. He saw the two of them fighting out, and he realized, two different colors of electricity. Barry's, honestly, Barry's is red, Reverse Flash is yellow, but some very, they run around together so fast it's kind of hard to keep it true. They cause like a specific color of electricity, and based on what Barry said in what he saw there were two different colors of lightning.
Which equates to, of course, two speedsters that night.
Oh yeah, that's a big reveal. Then the West Clan. Oh boy, they put the star on the tree. Ain't that
It's an
nice?
angel specifically.
That was a star. You sure it's not a
No,
star?
it's an angel.
Okay, I missed that. Okay, it's an angel.
Yep.
Then we have a bit that, oh, jeez. And I want to say this is the first time we got this. I can't quite remember, but Tiki, do you remember who's the first time we got the ring?
No, I don't remember off the top of my head.
I think this is the first thing. This is like a really awesome thing to like pump my fist. Like, yeah, Wells puts on the ring. He puts on the Flash ring because famously, the Flash he will squeeze in the comic books. He will squeeze his costume into a ring. He will like pop it and then he'll super speed into the costume. That's how it goes in the comic. Can't really translate that to live action easily, but the point is, again, another thing the movie could do, the series didn't do. Who knows? Point is, he puts on the Flash ring, which I have a replica of this ring along with the badges, by the way. It's like so jazzed by it. He goes into a secret time room, like the room with all the bumps, where Gideon resides. Gideon, by the way, voiced by the wonderful Miranda Baccarin.
Oh yeah.
Goes into the time room. He basically sees like an empty. Oh, it's such a great reveal. An empty mannequin, basically, empty mannequin with a few compartments on side. He like puts the Flash ring up to a scanner of some sort. And it presents it's a hidden suit and it reveals the yellow reverse Flash suit. He takes the tachyon device, which he has fashioned into a matrix. Basically, he puts it on the suits, and now the suit can time travel and like up his speed. And he has like the best line: "Merry Christmas, Flash."
Oh God, so good.
Yes.
All right.
Oh yeah.
And that will do it, folks. That was the Flash, the Man in Yellow. Okay, Dragon. Final thoughts here. What do you got?
I love this episode. It was fantastic, and it's seriously looking at it. It's a great Christmas. I was worried how this was going to hold up as a Christmas special because I was afraid. And honestly, I'll give a little perspective here. I've always feared that when we got to the CW stuff, that it'd always be me having to explain everything away, and basically when we were out of ideas, we'd have to go to CW stuff. Here we made a change because Tiki watched.
To be fair, I think when we do go to the CW stuff, like I'm gonna when I know that's imminent, I'm gonna try and at least catch myself up. Like when we do Arrow season 1, like the season 1 Christmas special, I'll try and get myself caught up with at least Arrow season 1. So I'm gonna try in that respect.
That's the thing. So, I think the way we did this, it really worked out. Just, Tiki has seen the first season of The Flash, and by that logic, this, watching again, it really does hold up as a Christmas special as well, because it's an emotional journey for Barry working on kind of issues around the holidays, and of course, it's it warrants the usual emotion of The Flash, but it adds kind of like a haunting quality to it that you would have around a holiday special. So it does work as a holiday special, and at the same time, it works as like a great big pillar of a story within the Flash's story about this is the reveal of the Reverse Flash, and it's around the holidays. A time of peace is actually the greatest challenge for Barry to face, almost like the beginning of his greatest challenge ever with the Reverse Flash.
Yeah, I definitely think this. There might be some episodes near the end of season 1 that just really ramp it up with the time travel and everything like that, but.
Oh, yeah.
Just for my money, this is definitely, at the very least, this is the most emotionally satisfying episode of season 1. I'll say that much. That Joe bit at the end, just every time I see it, it just kills me, man. It just kills me. It's so, just kiss you with kindness.
Yep.
Yeah, like you said, I think this is a great blend of, they do have the Christmas tropes, and like I said, I'd like to think they're self-aware about some of these tropes. I'd like to think they're self-aware about the fact, Wells is the Scrooge who has the tragic backstory around Christmas,
Nope.
And I feel like that's kind of a, you can kind of shine, you can kind of see through with that, they're playing on the eggnog. They know that the eggnog is a thing. I'm kind of shocked that we don't see mistletoe in this special, to tell you the truth. Just given all the romantic subplots.
How do we kick Barry when he's down further? Hey Eddie,
that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
Come in here, you. Oh Barry, can you go in the other room and get some more of
oh god,
famous eggnog while I smooch Eddie here under the mistletoe profusely?
Oh man. But yeah, I mean, I really do love it. This episode, Dragon. I would. It's fair to say this is the episode that made me kind of really get attached to the show and these characters. I really, like especially like I think it all kind of comes together really well. The Wells stuff, Cisco and Caitlin have a really good subplot together. It's just all it all builds. Of course, Joe and Barry being kind of the big highlight of it for me, and of course the Reverse Flash stuff. It's just all a very very good. A very good climax to the mid-season, if you will.
So. Yeah, and I'll say this though: if you're breaking down like the season in 2 parts, this is my favorite episode of the first half, and the second half, it's easily the Trickster episode. If I had to pick my 2 favorites, it was
okay.
Ones, so.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with it. It's a really good episode.
All right, so let's go through some of the tropes. Let's see. All right. Before the tropes, let's unwrap some presents. Let's unwrap what we're going to do next time, Dragon. What is it?
Let's see, just peeling the paper away a little here. Let's see. Oh, look what it is. it's an old favorite. It's an old friend. It's Mary Tyler Moore.
Oh yeah. So we did the first Christmas special, the Christmas with a Hard Luck Kid, which, Dragon, if I remember correctly, that was TV Guide's #1 Christmas special of all time.
Yes, it was.
And so we're going to do the follow-up to that. Yeah, which I forget the exact name of it.
It's not. It's funny. It's not a Christmas story. That's what it's called.
It's not a Christmas story. Okay, there we go. All right, so yeah, we will be tackling that next, and then without further ado, let's get into the tropes, Dragon.
Okay, let's see. So we have Christmas lights and Christmas lights going out.
Christmas lights, of course. What?
A lot of tree trimming and decorating and super.
Oh yeah, a lot of that. Of course, the eggnog. Eggnog is a big presence this episode.
Not just any eggnog. Grandma Esther's famous. Eggnog. Again, folks, eggnog. That is Grandma Esther's, but famous.
Yep. Let's see. Gift exchanges.
Yes. Composite Scrooge.
Composite Scrooge. Yes. The tragedy around the holidays.
Yes, first Christmas without somebody with Caitlin. Let's see. We already tragedy around the holidays. You got that one's good.
The bitter reunion with a loved one around the holidays.
Yeah, that's a good one. The emotional kind of that emotional Hallmark payoff with Joe and Barry.
Yes, that is a total Hallmark moment.
It's beautiful.
Man in a red suit.
Yes, man in the red suit, and also just with the title, man in the yellow suit, kind of a play on the reverse of man in the red suit. Yeah. Let's see. Well, I mean, getting something you've been waiting for a long time with the fact that you said the coveted Christmas gift, didn't you? Or no?
No, I have not said the coveted Christmas gift.
Let me throw this at you. This could be a coveted Christmas gift because, again, Barry's been looking for the man in yellow for a long time. He got him.
Yeah, definitely.
There's that. Let's see. Is there? Okay. Well, we already went through the Scrooge archetype thing, and it seems to be. I don't know. Can you think of? Can you think of anything else?
Just throwing this out there. A loved one in prison around the holidays. I feel like we've seen that before.
Okay, yeah, I can buy that. Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. I did something. I contributed. All right. So, Dragon, much like the good people at Star Labs, we are looking into crazy scientific mumbo-jumbo-y crap to get this, to get these tropes in order and really put the fine tune it, really get in there with the research, and that's what we're doing. We've got the big Barry Allen board of, all the different connecting points and everything. We're on it.
But Tiki, seriously sitting down and looking at that board, just looking there and kind of flashing back to some really traumatic stuff, I gotta ask you, I beseech you, Tiki, for everyone out there, not just for this year, on Christmas in July, what we're doing here. I'm reaching to the future. I'm reaching to the 2024 here in this case. I'm reaching the 2024, a few years in the distant future here. I'm asking. I'm going all the way around. I'm asking. I'm grabbing tachyons. I'm going back in time. I'm asking you very seriously, because again, this is such a serious process, folks. We have to break down these terms. We got to figure out what the formula is. Like if we're recreating the Flash's powers, we need to figure out the formula mixed with some lightning and a particle accelerator explosion. We need to figure these things out. We need to figure out how to replicate. How do we get the Reverse Flash into the future? How do we get Barry closure for his mother? Because at the core of it, folks, you got to remember. The world may need the Flash, but we need our Barry Allen. Tiki, I ask you because we need our Barry Allen. Please tell me on all that is holy and well and just well deserving of Grandma Esther's famous nog. How are we going to do that? How are we going to label such a process, such a research intensive process? How?
By putting the mistletoe under Barry Allen's new high-end microscope. Next time on Christmas in July. La 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 la.
Run, Barry, run!
I don't know. I'm a pretty smart guy.
Reverse Flash, yeah!
I knew